Hello and welcome to 365 Days Toward Racial Change. My name is Tomlins Nyback. We're here at day 89 and we're talking about Black issues in America, Black life, um, most of it stemming from slavery. That is the probably the most solid connection that slave descended Black born Americans have in this world is that we are a whole nation created within a nation, where our heritage, connection to Africa. Maybe we can trace our lineage through some of these DNA services and whatnot. And the color of our skin is an obvious giveaway. But religion, language, culture, that's been bred out of us over hundreds of years of conditioning. And in the wake of that, we find ourselves kind of cast forth in this nation, struggling for uh, sense of equality, equal access to the wealth and resources of this nation. And we talk here about different schemes um, promoted and acted by majority white culture. This is not a time of hate or anything like that. We're just talking facts. We're actually extracting any emotional ties, any moral ideas. They come up partially, but we're mostly motivated uh, by economic evidence in America, um, political evidence in America, how blacks bear the bulk and brunt of America's most dysfunctional ways. You know, a lot of that's turning, I will say, in the information age, and we're finding more of anybody getting caught up in some of the injustices that are available, conveniently available in America. As this project is going on, two thoughts have come to my mind. First thought has two parts. First part is, does the black mind, mentality of slavery still prevail? Are we still wrestling with it? After hundreds of years of slavery, is that a condition, um, lifestyle that's pervasive in black American communities? Second part is, does the white mind prevail, propagate in the same way? Is it still moving along? Is there a sense of expectation of privilege, entitlement, power um, that's just passed on from generation to generation among white folks? Um, if you're here watching this, you'll probably have an idea of my bias, but I want you to think, find your literature, your resources, and uh, come up to with your own realistic conclusions about that. Now, my second thought that's come about, and is actually growing more powerful, which is really the reason uh, for this project, the economic foundation of what we're talking about here, is financial literacy among black folks, how that is deficient. You know, in my late 20s, early 30s, you know, I would run into these men older than myself who were illiterate, who could not read. And you got to know, if you can't read, you're at the mercy of those who can. You know, you're like a one-eyed man in the land of the blind, um, as far as you know, the blind people are at disadvantage as just as much as the illiterate are at disadvantage. You know, if I have one good eye and I can see in this land where everybody is blind, then I'm king. You know, and same way for the illiterate, is that illiterate individual, excuse me, is at the mercy of those who can read. You know, same analogy. Uh, it's exacerbated, especially with money, money tends to be even more of a motivator. You're not just talking about reading novels or reading signposts. You talk about money, you're talking about power at that point, and those institutions and that uh, life, if you will, is going to be that more assertive, aggressive, even at asserting its domination over the financially illiterate. So now I talked extensively today, especially in the brief notes, because I've been reading a great guy. I'll present some of his work probably and share it with you. He's easy to find. I just got to read a little bit more, but he's talking about a lot of things that resonate. So financial literacy. I'm going to throw political literacy in there. A lot. Think about what is not stressed in the black home that makes the white homes that much more successful and powerful, and you can start to see your correct pathway in that vein. So I'm inspired by a man named Dr. Claude Anderson, who referred to his works a lot, although today we're going to take a little diversion. First, I read 3 of his works. First work was A Black History Reader, 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask. Second book, Black Labor, White Wealth, Search for Power and Economic Justice. I want you to get these texts. I want you to get every text that I'm presenting to you today. And second book, our third book, is Powernomics, Dr. Anderson's National Plan to Empower Black America. As I get into further into this work, I wish he would have added more literacy, more financial literacy into his subject. But it's a good starting point. I'm not knocking his work, and we're going to continue using his work all through the year, of course. But there is that. I mean, he talks in his videos. It comes out more. He stresses the economic aspect and components of the disparities between whites and blacks in America. But he could have really shortcutted a whole lot of the issues if he made more of an effort with financial literacy. It's another bigger subject, you know. You got to commend him, because in reading his work, it brought me to further understanding, you know. So with financial literacy, the rich don't work for money. The rich get tax breaks and stuff. Some of the things the poor and the middle class complain about the rich, it's just the way the system is configured. You know, in short, because the rich represent a different aspect of the American economy that's much more favorable than just those who goes to their day job and saves money. The rich have a whole. It's almost like you don't see it that much today, unless you're a very professional photographer. But in photography, you have a film, and there's the negative, and from the negative you develop it and get the image and stuff like that. That's kind of what is going on in American finance and economics. So just in short, I just want to say that the rich have a whole different mindset, whole different thing about money, where they kind of provide the tools and the opportunity, and because the masses aren't interested. Like the masses want to be wealthy. Everybody wants to have opulence, wealth, and all that stuff. But you got to study. You got to be a student. You got to be perpetually immersed in this thing to a certain degree. And it struck me this week that the masses don't care to put the time and resources aside to do that. And and this is a big change in my thought of finances and being wealthy in America. This is a big change. So obviously, who I'm going to present to you later on, his work is just as profound because I'm seeing my error in how I want to be wealthy and stuff like that. So I'm not going to go a bit long into that. I got some other things to get to, and I'm running late and whatever. Anyway, but we'll talk about it. Continue with my introduction, though. I do want to say if you can find $5 a day, every day, I put $5 every day away into investing. So that means the days I don't work, if I take in my job, I can work 5 or 6 days. But anyway, 5 days every day. So I have to budget, that either $5 or $10 out of a day that I'm not working. I have to budget into that week. I do that. I say that in short to say I put away $5 a day, and I can't believe just in these short months, I got quite a little nest egg going right now. And I'll finish with this. I don't want to belabor it, but we're going to probably get to it anyway. See, this is I finally unlocked some keys. See, the rich, they create an asset, and the asset grows to the point where it begins to serve them just like a slave, so to speak. And that slave, that money that they control, supports them, allows them to fly around the world, visit other countries, go on long vacations, have corporations, eat out, find ways. And yeah, for the tax guy, it looks like business expenses and all that, but forget about that. The point is the rich and the wealthy have this. Donald Trump has that in place. He doesn't work for money anymore. He doesn't do that. Money works for him. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But I'm actually excited about the direction my life is going right now in light of this new information from increasing my financial literacy. Okay. Not a millionaire yet, but I'm pointing in the right direction. Back on slave life, slave issues matter. We talk about Uncle Tom's Cabin, Harriet Beecher Stowe's great work. And mid-1800s, talking like pre-Civil War era, they're about to get down and dirty. Very important work because of its influence on theater, social life in America, the realities of slave master life in America, and whatnot. So very important work. We talk about Tom, we chime in, see how Tom and the other slaves are getting along in America. Hashtag us too. Very important. Hashtag me too has come back to the foreground in the news cycle with Joe Biden and all this stuff. We're going to talk about some current events, but hashtag us too is black women. Me too is women in general, which in most cases, a lot of times, when you're saying women in general, it's white women. This is more specifically black women. Blog Enough, BLAGGENUF. Check them out and they're online, kind of a black Facebook, more forums there. It's the information age. If you found me here on YouTube, you can find, I'm sure there's a plethora of organizations ready to embrace you for conversations for whatever your interests may be. All right, day 89. Okay, so I talked about working for money, financial literacy. I don't want to beat a dead horse too much. You either want to go that direction or not. What I will say is, you, if you know you're on, you and I are of the same mind. If you can understand this, uh, picture money for me, if you will, as an individual. So when I say I'm trying not to work for money. I'm saying I'm trying not to work for this guy named Money. And when I put it in that light, I understand um, my error in how I've been interacting with the world and my frustration. Because if you notice, the harder you work for money, the more the government takes. Uh, the You work hard and save, and you hear how um, it's not going to be enough for retirement, and all these things come up when I work for money, you know. But what financial literacy does is it puts you in a position where you make money work for you, not the other way around. That's the important shift. You just get there. The book I'm reading, Robert Kiyosaki, I think his name is, uh, but he really drives it home. He's also the first guy that I've heard. He really pounds it in his literature, and I applaud him for this. Is how America does not teach its people financial literacy. We don't teach our people political literacy either, and it's because of that. I believe it's intentional, and it's because of that is why so many people are uh, at a disadvantage. But it might make you think, well, if people really understood and got it together and got on board with financial literacy and whatnot, what would that lead to? What would be the next level of oppression? I don't see us getting too close to that because people in general, but I just found out recently, aren't striving like that. It takes a little bit of, it takes some energy and some focus to be consistently financially literate. So I can understand why the masses don't readily pick up on it. You know, when I talk to people and my day job, I still got this little job, but now my job is I'm focusing that energy and those resources towards building my assets. But when I begin talking to my brothers and sisters who I love at my job, I really love my job. I love the people there. Uh, the eyes glaze over and they start talking before I even finish my sentence about what it is I'm trying to do. Because it's the mental thing. They already know. They ain't trying to hear doing some extra work, a little bit of extra reading to get financially literate, and they've got some little five-figure, couple $1,000s that they're kind of shuffling here and there. They can trade in their toys and stuff like that. They think their vehicles and their homes are assets and things like that. They're missing out. They're missing out. The equation's pretty simple. If you understand this, you literally mastered a big chunk of financial literacy. The difference between assets and liabilities. Assets put money into your pocket. And more so, the asset works on its own. You almost get someone else to manage it, so to speak. You ain't doing a whole lot of work in your asset. Like my job is kind of an asset. It's a minimal thing, but because I gotta go work and make it happen. But a true pure asset is just out there giving its allegiance and its money into you. Liability is simple. It's that thing that's going to take money out of your pocket. Expenses, mortgages, car notes, all your insurances. Those are liabilities, taking money out of your pocket. So those are the things you want to be sensitive to. Get there, and you'll be on your way to moving forward. Also, in the brief notes, I'm talking about the Hispanic nations, populations, or anybody, Mexico and South are just that Hispanic group, and I'm critical of America. America is built on a lot of foundational stuff, and foundational economic interest. I've started watching CNN a lot, which may be a mistake, because CNN, you can't see the cycles up close because they're minute by minute, moment by moment doing these news cycles. You want to be able to step away, but because I know that, I can kind of put CNN in its proper perspective. But I'm seeing these politicians when they talk about what's going on at our southern border, and they're talking about freeing oppressions and religious rights and freedoms and all these moral issues. And they say America's built on that. That's what they teach you in grade school. That's not the truth. Those are little sound bites that get us up in arms and stuff. Cast all that out, put an economic screen over that, and you'll understand how America was made, created, built. So anyway, I need America to watch out, because America, we came there, kind of in the mid 1700s. We realized that we had a whole ocean border between us and these potentates across there and stuff, so we could get uppity and stuff. The white signers of the Declaration of Independence, and they, took that opportunity and said, we're not going to be treated like that, and we're going to separate from them and all that. So they closed that eastern border and made their own country. But then here's the thing, they turn around and they do the same exact thing that they're criticizing their eastern neighbors, brothers and sisters for, and they oppress and enslave people based on their color. Now I say all that in relation to our southern border because we need to watch out, because it's really getting polarized in a very massive degree, and you've got you got a continent, South America, a continent, Central America, and a country, Mexico, where we've got allies and friends and stuff like that. But I don't think we're paying attention, because I know in my experience, when I found a group was rejecting me, oppressing me, I would leave. And I would tend to even gravitate towards the enemies of that group. There's a saying that goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So I'm cautioning, like, what if Russia or North Korea, Iran, kind of get it together and start reaching out, say, hey, we're making ourselves vulnerable by being so kind of antisocial to our Southern brothers and sisters. Now, I'm not advocating Hispanic success by any means, because certain arms of that group and those people have been explicit in their desire to supplant blacks in their position in the United States. They already have. You know, I've been in places. You know, I need to hurry up and learn some language, but you know, they're speaking their language, talking about me. Maybe I'm paranoid, but I'm guessing most of the time I'm correct. I've been behind people. They didn't know I was standing behind them, Hispanic people, and they were speaking English, talking bad about black folks. So I know it happens. So I'm not a big advocate of the Hispanic community. You know, fortunately, it's the information age, and where we're moving towards the Tower of Babel again, um, where language is being accessible. You know, I actually, if I could get a smartphone and the proper app, I could just turn the app on and hear anything anyway. I mean, that's the age we're living in, so that's a good thing. Anyway, um, so we got to be careful about what's going on in the South, you know, because it could be challenging if our enemies start embracing uh, the Hispanic communities up and down there. We still got a good footing, but if we could, it's very precarious right now. Also, I wanted to say, um, you know, in positioning ourselves to this border thing, you know, today was the first time I heard anyone on TV talk about how the United States needs to do more to address the issues within those Hispanic nations, you know, to address why people are leaving there, uh, running out of there. You know, it's like the Titanic. If you see rats running up the corridor in mass, uh, you know, you don't try to stop the rats and try to turn them back to what they're running from. You go to the source. You know, what's the source of the dysfunction in Mexico? What's the source of the dysfunction in some of these Central American nations, South American nations, that's making people come in droves to the American border and whatnot? You know, these people want to get out of their countries. There's something very sinister, evil, violent in their countries, and they want to get out. You know, these people are leaving in droves, almost as though it's some of the African genocides we used to hear about a lot going on. You know, so uh, the building bigger walls and borders and all that stuff. Uh, you know, you're going to leave people with no choice. I know when I'm exasperated, I snap, and I'm going to make a move in my favor, whatever the cost. And that's what we're building there at our southern border. Finally, at this time, now we're at the bottom of our time. All this overshadows. Blacks were just starting to get reparation talk going in the political news cycle and stuff. And I wish that had a continued. But papers on the president came up. Southern border is going through a cycle right now. Jesse Smollett and that crazy fool and his shenanigans in Chicago came up. So hopefully it'll come back around again, but there's not much talk right now about healing the black community, you know, because it's always the appearance that blacks have enough and that we have arrived where we're want and supposed to be. But you might, if you have stayed with these videos for any length of time, you'll know how I feel about that. I'm Tomlin's Nyback. Thanks for hanging out with me. Day 89, 365 days towards racial change. I'll see you tomorrow.